up, everyone? Thank you for checking out and supporting this episode of Raised A Geek. This week, we decided to dive into DC's absolute universe and check out the first issues of Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman to see what we thought. So let's find out what we thought. I'm Chris, and this week I'm here with my buddy Don. How we doing, man?
Chris, what is up today, my friend? Everything is all right. Absolutely all right. See what I did there?
I did see it. I did see it. Like it.
Yeah, everything's good, man. I can't complain too much on this November weekend. Just kind of doing the weekend things like we usually do here and ready to talk some comics. We like to sprinkle them in every now and then. You and I are both readers with full lists and things, but
Giant
sometimes,
backlogs of comics
yeah,
that we need to read.
we talk about that all the time, but there comes, every now and then we have to come together on a few things because you have what you read, I have what I read. They don't always match up. You like what did you like? I read what I read. We like a lot of the same things, but sometimes we don't read the same books. But every now and then something comes up where it's like we're both reading it. It's like, man, let's give this a little talking about this thing we both read. So yeah, Absolute Universe kicking off, and I think it's a good time to bring it up.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do because, and I'm sure this will come up in the conversation because it's very similar, obviously. But I've been wanting to do something. I've been trying to catch up on like the Marvel Ultimate Universe, and them relaunching, Spider-Man and having their Ultimate Universe and Black Panther and X-Men and the Ultimate. I don't know. I'm not reading all of them.
Ultimates is like their Avengers team, and Wolverine's on the way. So yeah, it's its own
Wolverine. I'm
thing.
probably gonna get into. I'm random weird cyber. I really enjoy Ultimate Spider-Man. I'm
All
caught
right.
up in that one, and that's a damn good book. Black Panther, I'm still kind of feeling out. Even though I'm 9 issues in, I should have an opinion on it. Like, I'm enjoying it, but sometimes I want just a little bit more out of each issue. Like, each issue kind of leaves me wanting more, but too much more. So I'm just like, is this moving enough, or are they just getting me to buy books? X-Men I gave up on. I can appreciate what they were trying to do with the manga thing.
It's very different.
It's very different, and I was
Yes.
kind of enjoying it for a minute, and then it just hit a point. I think what happened was that all those other X-Men books came out, and all of a sudden my pull box was just filled with X-Men. Every time I'd go, there'd be like 7 X-Men books in there because those X-Men relaunches were all like bi-weekly or bi-monthly. And I was like, "Oh my god, this is too much X-Men." And that's what happened with the Krakoa when they did that. They were like, "Oh, here's 6 new X-Men series that are gonna come out every other week." And I was like, "This is
I can't keep up.
can't keep up. I can't. This is too much. It's too much money. It's too much like pile." I mean, I was just like, I just can't do X-Men. I have to do X-Men in trades.
Yeah.
But I've been wanting to talk about that, and then now, the Absolute Universe came out with DC. It's kind of very similar type thing, which we'll get into here in a minute. But yeah, Superman just came out this week, so we're right on it now. We're not 9 issues or 10 issues deep like we were with Marvel. It started last year. We're right here in the cusp, and we ended up doing it. What's funny is that I really had no intention on being a part of this, and my comic book store signed me up because I read regular Batman and I read regular Wonder Woman. I don't really have a Superman book, but they were auto subscribing me to Absolute Batman. And I was initially like, what is that? And they're like, oh, that's the new thing with tie-ins and this. I was like, I don't want it. And they're just like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I don't want it. And I got off of it. And then like 2 days later, you're just like, yeah, Scott Snyder's writing it. And it's this. And I was like, oh, maybe I do want it.
Yeah.
Next thing
I
you know,
know.
I just re-put them all on my list, and yeah, I missed Absolute Batman, and I'm really mad about I missed the first print of it.
Because it was there for you. They were going to give it to you.
They were gonna give it to me. I was subscribed to it. I was ready to go for Absolute Batman, and I didn't really do my research or know what it was yet when they added it to my list, and I just was picturing like the when DC did the metal, and they did all those tie-ins, and I have like 50 metal books that I've never read, and all because it just went across a whole bunch of stuff. So I had flashbacks of metal in my head, and I was just like, I don't want to get involved in another like multi-book tie-in. So
Yeah.
um
Metal.
and now then as I'm learning more about it, I'm just like, oh, it's a standalone, it's a starting point, it's Scott Snyder. I'm like, yeah, I should have got that book.
I think that's kind of what the excitement for this universe is. And the same could be said, like you just mentioned, about the Ultimate books in Marvel, is it's a starting point, and kinda everybody loves a starting point
Mhm.
because these mainline books, sometimes it can seem like if you haven't been reading the book for this long, it's like it's hard to figure out that place where you can jump in. And I know a lot of times it'll be like a great starting point here, start of a new arc. But you look and it's like, okay, this is Amazing Spider-Man number 950. It still feels wrong though. But when you got that crisp number one in your hand of something, and they're like, it's a starting point, and look at this creative team. These are names you know, these are names you trust, these are names of people who've written the stories you like in the past. You're like, wow, I'm really gonna give that a shot. And I think that's kind of what is fueling this interest in the Absolute line, which I think I told you, like, Batman and Wonder Woman were the top 2 selling books of October, and the Ultimate line in Marvel is doing a ton of numbers. Like, it was super rare and hard to get Ultimate Spider-Man 1 when it came out because there was just so much hype, and that had Jonathan Hickman's name on it, which is another guy who people love.
Yep.
So yeah, like the comics world is kind of buzzing about if you're reading superhero books and you kind of want to start fresh and start something new and see a new take on these characters. I think these are good ways to do that.
Yeah, and they already said Superman is, like, easily number 1, and they're already trying to rush a second printing of Superman as
Sure.
well, and it just came
Mhm.
out, like, 3 days ago. So
Mhm.
it's gone and it's there. So I feel good that I at least got Superman and Wonder Woman. I just
Mhm.
missed out on Batman. I'm on a list for the 3rd printing of Absolute Batman to get it, but I did pick it
Sure.
up digitally so I can read
Talk
it so
with
we can
me.
talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call an audible here because I'm already jazzed up and ready to talk, but we were gonna talk about Captain America 4.
Oh yeah.
Captain America, what the hell is it called? New Brave New World?
Brave New World. I
They
think it was
dropped a
called.
3rd trailer.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about it, but we're gonna talk about it at the end because I wanna talk about some comics, and that's a weird, jarring thing. If you
Yeah.
are interested, obviously, check out the timestamps in the description. You can get down there or hit us up over on YouTube at Raised A Geek. I'll drop it separately over on YouTube, just our reaction to that trailer. So either skip to the end if you're not interested in Absolute Universe, or hit us up on YouTube at Raised A Geek or any of the social medias, and you can find that content if you were looking for it. But Captain America, Winter or not Brave New World dropped a new trailer. We're going to talk all about the MCU and what to think about in 2025, but we're going to push it to the end because I'm ready to talk about the absolute universe. We already started, we're already in it, so it felt like a weird like pivot
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of a sudden go, now here's the MCU.
No,
So
good
MCU
call.
fans, we'll get
Good
to you.
call.
We'll
I'm
get
with
to
you.
you here
Good
in a
call.
minute. But to preface this conversation that we're having, and if you've listened to read comics, you know that there's always the big events. Usually every year, DC and Marvel does big events of some kind, crossover stuff that you have to read multiple books. I can't tell you how many other random books that I have because of crossovers and this, that, and the other. And the big one that they're doing now is DC All In, which is kind of like a refresh start. It almost reminds me of like the New 52 when they did that. It sounds like that a little bit. It just
A
kind of
little
has the
bit.
same marketing vibe.
Mhm.
But part of the DC All In is the Absolute Universe. And I got a little kind of a write up that I got from Trevor Van Az over at howtolovecomics.com. So if you want to learn more about DC All In and the Absolute Universe, he had a great article over there. I just pulled the snippet there. So you can head on over to howtolovecomics.com and give him a click if you are interested in more information. But DC Comics is currently in the process of rolling out All In. It's an exciting publishing initiative which offers dozens of fresh jumping on points for new, lapsed, and existing readers. A fascinating element of the All In is the Absolute Universe, a comics line centralized in a brand new alternate universe. So it's going to offer readers curious reinventions of DC Comics characters like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman's. I'm sure there are others that are coming, and others through modern lenses. So, what is the absolute universe? DC Comics has an extensive multiverse, which we all have talked about multiverses, and DC was kind of the originator of the multiverse a little bit, of with Flashpoint and with all of those things back in the day. But they have an extensive multiverse populated with various interpretations of their famous characters. These almost exclusively tend to be relegated to a single title when explored. The absolute universe is going to be different because it's multiple titles, but they're all occupying the same universe and are being published at the exact same time. So as a
Oh,
result, it's going to be like a miniature version of a mainline DC universe in scale. And just reading that and kind of doing that research, that's awesome. It's kind of like we're
mhm,
just going to do like DC light over here, or dark, you want maybe want to call it, because these do definitely seem like they're going to be darker books than the normal Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. But what do you know about you? Were you kind of excited for All In and Absolute? How did you feel about some of that? I kind of shared some of my feelings of not knowing anything. So
yeah. 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 Well, like you said, All In is kind of a thing that is it seems like a cyclical thing that they do every now and then. Like you mentioned, the New 52. And then after the New 52 was Rebirth. I don't know if you remember
oh
Rebirth.
yeah,
That's when Tom King jumped into Batman and a bunch of other things. And it's basically just a way to start number ones again. Uh,
basically
it's a,
with the legacy number in the corner.
exactly. So that's nothing new. That's no surprise. So All In is like, okay, this is a way to get me to check out Batgirl number 1 and Justice League Unlimited number 1, and, like, I get it, number 1s just stir up more excitement, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you think they're going to
But
be worth money?
yeah, yeah, exactly. But the absolute universe of it all, I think, is cool, and this has been a tactic DC's used before, Marvel's used it before. Like, we just compared it to Ultimate, like, people don't really realize, but Miles Morales is Ultimate. He came from Ultimate Spider-Man, and now his name is as kind of a household name as much as Peter Parker's is at this point. So
Yeah,
like this ultimate absolute kind of stuff does generate a lot of interest. And yeah, man, Batman was the first one they started talking about. Um and I think the big thing, it started creating a lot of noise on the internet because people were just obsessed with the uh, presentation of him and
yeah,
how he looked,
yeah.
and that he was this huge bulking, like, bodybuilder type, like, he
Uh,
kinda looks like Bane inside of a Batman costume,
yeah.
and people to that like, that image of him of Batman to people is just something you're not used to. You're used to him being more like a balanced strong, not a huge bulking strong. So people like were going crazy with that, but then you see Scott Snyder's name is attached. Um, and for those who know, he's written a bunch of Batman books. Um, Most well known probably for his New 52 run, but he was even on Detective Comics before that and had a good run.
All Star
And
Batman.
All Star
I
Batman,
loved
he's
All Star
done.
Batman. I got in a fight with
Yeah.
someone on Twitter over the fact that he was like, that was the worst run. I was like, no, that was my favorite run that he did. I know
Yeah.
Snyder did the Court of Owls and everything else, um,
Uh,
but still, I loved All Star Batman. I just thought I loved the way that that series was put together, and that's the one I tie Snyder to in my head.
well, put it this way, every time he touches Batman, it's gold to
Pretty
me. I
much,
don't
yeah. That's a fact.
I don't dislike anything he's done with Batman, even the weird one where he was walking around with Joker's head in like a lantern. It was like an alternate one. I don't
Yeah,
even remember
that
what
was
that
tied
one
into
was.
metal.
Okay, maybe that was
Scott
tied
Snyder
into
was
metal.
the metal was his thing, so he
Yeah.
was all over that too. But yeah, that was
Yeah.
like one of the offshoots of metal. It was like he who Batman who laughs last, or Joker
Yeah,
who
you
last
know.
laughs, or something.
Well, let's just put it this way. He's a guy who knows Batman and writes a good Batman. And every time he wants to come in with a Batman story, I'm gonna pay attention.
Yeah,
So that's why
I
I
wish I would have paid attention.
yeah. So that's why I kind of, was in on this from the beginning. Um, but yeah, the whole universe of it being like a starting point and different takes on it and like kind of subverting your perception of these characters and presenting them in a way that they're not so traditionally presented is just interesting to me. I like when people take creative, risks and want to mix thing up. things up, not just be the status quo of Superman. Like we've all read Superman. Like let me see Superman a little differently. Let me see Batman a little differently. Wonder Woman, the Trinity to start it off.
Yeah,
Perfect idea, of course.
of
But
course.
yeah, I was super engaged and interested from the beginning, and here we are.
Do you know, and this is just a random question because you have a lot of information that I don't always have about these types of things, but with the Ultimate, Marvel Ultimate that we talked about, are they in the same universe or are they separate universes?
I
Is it
think
like Ultimate Spider-Man's in his own thing, Ultimate Black Panther's in his own thing, and like
I'm
Tony Stark's the one jumping around?
I'm pretty sure that's a shared world.
Okay.
I'm
'Cause
pretty
that's what I was
sure.
curious. Because as they talked about as I was reading this article about this one, that was what they said was the big deal with this one was that it's basically another DC universe, um,
Mhm.
with these characters, so I was curious if the Ultimates was the same way. Okay.
I'm pretty sure someone out there might be yelling at me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's the same world.
Well, you know how you get us to hear you is email us at raisedageek@gmail.com or hit us up on socials at Raised A Geek.
Mhm.
Leave that little plug in there
There it is.
join the conversation there, so let us know if we're wrong about that, but,
For
anyway.
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I was kind of once I realized Scott Snyder was did this, and then I just kind of was like, "Okay," and then you told me that it was just, like, great, and I was like, "Fuck, okay, I'm gonna need to read these books," and I was talking with a guy at my comic book store, and I was like, "Yeah, just put me on both because since I already subscribed to Wonder Woman, they had me, but then I had them subtract them, and I said, "Just add them both." They were like, "They're only 5 issues, so it's not like a huge investment to do that." They were just trying to sell me, um
Which now I think they're ongoing, and it's just like 5 issues is the first arc of each.
Mhm.
But,
Yeah,
if
there's
they're
no
d
way they're stopping these after 5 issues.
no,
Um,
you don't introduce who they introduced at the end of issue 1 of Absolute Batman and be like, "We're gonna tell this story in 5 issues." Uh, my thing is I don't mind adding books to my pull list if they're good. So let's decide if they're good.
yeah, and just keeping up with them and not getting far behind, and next thing you know,
Yeah.
I have, a year's worth of Hulk comics I need to read.
And right.
You knew I was gonna go for that one, right?
I knew you were.
I got a few, but the Hulk one, I don't know why that one's becoming my biggest backlog.
That's the one that you resent. Fuck you, Hulk.
I enjoyed the well, the thing that makes me as once again, another random sidebar as I've been, drinking here, so let's go on a sidebar. But I
Uh,
I I started reading Hulk with Donny Cates' Hulk, and I loved that book with the Hulk being a spaceship and just, like, the zany that book is wild. And then somewhere in there, I stopped reading, like, the last 2 or whatnot, so I think I still have, like, 2 issues to read of that run. And then they started the new one, and I just kept getting it. And I
and
don't
he
even know if
and
the
he
new one's
like
any good.
and like Donny Cates dropped off that
Yeah,
book
he
like
dropped off,
unceremoniously. Yeah.
and then we got new writers, new artists, I'm still buying the book. I just bought, like, literally today, I just bought, like, issue 15 of the new run that I haven't read.
Well, you just gotta hope it's good.
Hope it's
Otherwise, you
good,
got
I hope I'm
15 books you
enjoying it.
don't
I mean, they
like.
made it 15 issues,
Yeah.
but I know nothing about it because I was reading the previous run.
Yeah. It happens.
I know,
Well,
it's
it
it
happens to us because we have too many interests. Like we
I know.
said, I wish I could set aside enough time to read all the comics I want, but I want more than I have enough time to read. And we have to play video games, and we have to watch movies, and we have to watch sports, and there's just not enough time for everything.
There's not, there's
We
not.
tried. We tried.
I've moved Hulk up in my listing of just kind of,
Mhm.
doing that. My worst one is Philadelphia. I think I'm on, like, literally I think I'm still buying that book, and I think it's, like, in the 30s, and I've only read the first arc. Like, I've read the first, like, 12, and I just keep buying it, and I loved it, but for whatever reason, it comes out so sporadically that I forget about it.
Yeah.
And then I get a new one, and I'm like, "Oh, shit, this book's still going on."
Dude, we can't even get into how many comics I'm behind. Like, I got a full long box.
I
Like,
know.
it would literally take me a month just to catch up. Um,
Yeah.
and I have to do it, but I don't do it because I
Yeah, I know.
because
Everybody
I
out
have
there knows we all
yeah,
have
'cause I have
backlogs and
problems.
stuff.
Yeah,
We'll get to it when we get to it. It's
yeah,
fine. It's
yeah.
it's it's a hobby. It's what we
It's
do. It's
it's
great.
part of it.
It's part of it. But Absolute Universe started with Absolute Batman, as we've said. It was written by Scott Snyder and art by Nick
Dragotta, yeah.
Dragotta.
Mhm.
So here's a quick synopsis. If you have not heard about Absolute Batman or don't fully know exactly what it is, but still want to listen to us talk about it, here we go. Gotham City has long been riddled with crime. Surprise, surprise. The latest wave is led by the violent gang known as the Party Animals, backed by a vicious gangster in a black mask. But Gotham is about to find salvation with a new protector, a mysterious masked man wearing the symbol of a bat on his chest. Can the Batman bring justice to Gotham, or will an enigmatic
Enig enig enigmatic.
enigmatic intelligence agent named Pennyworth put an end to him before he even begins?
Mhm.
So I, obviously we've read all three of these books. This book was fucking awesome. Like this book was next level. Just like we'll talk about some of the differences that he's making to Batman lore. The things that you're used to seeing from Batman, how he changed the origin story and some of those things, and we'll talk about that across the board for all of these. But this book was just outstanding. The art, the grittiness, the Batman being huge and bulky. I still died laughing, and I know I sent it to you when the one dude on Twitter posted his Batman thing, and he had Batman with a little bitty head and a giant body, and Scott Snyder saw it. He was like, "Bigger."
Make him bigger.
Make it bigger. He's bigger than that. That still makes me laugh when I think about it. So that was good. But man, this was just a great book all around. Like art. I mean, the presentation of this is just it felt special.
Yep. Agreed. Um, Spoiler, this was my favorite one out of the 3.
Yeah.
Um, it was just a great introduction to a series. It kinda had everything you wanted. Action, the writing of Scott Snyder, if you're a fan of his, he's on his game here. Um, all the changes were, interesting and different and made it feel fresh, but also at the same time, like, familiar, like, Gotham City's still familiar even though it's this different alternate take on Gotham City.
Mhm.
Um, Nick Dragotta, I'm a big fan of because he is the artist of the book I know him from the most is East of West,
Okay.
from Image Comics, which is, like, one of the first Image when I started buying a lot of Image books. That was one of the first ones I bought,
Hmm.
and have the entire series, so I was always a fan of his art. He draws a really, like, expressive, cool stuff, and he kinda fits he I don't know, I never saw him on a mainline book, I just am used to his Image work, which was, very freeing, but he kinda carried that over to this, and, like,
Yeah.
he's perfect for this book.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, man, big Batman rules, I don't know.
Yeah. It
There's
does.
just there's just something a little more visceral about them. Like you said, these books are a little more adult. Um, I don't know. We can get into it, but I'm the same as you. This book is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's just really good read.
Yeah, I was sitting there reading it today and I was just like blown away by
Mm,
I mean, and there was so much more as I was telling Don before we started recording, I bought this one digitally since I don't have the third printing, doesn't come out till the 22nd of November, so I won't have the actual physical yet. So I used some credit card points and picked it up digitally so we could talk about it today. And because I've been dying to read this thing for
mhm,
3 weeks or whatever it is. But, like, I spent a lot of time really just I felt like I looked at the art more, and I don't know if it's just because I was on my, iPad, a little bit more, and I could zoom in and do a little bit more than I could with paper, but I felt like I was just, like, drawn in with the art of this book so much more,
um,
and really soaked in this story more, and it's like a credit to both of them,
yeah.
of just, like, from a story standpoint, I was just engrossed in what this was, and it just reminds me of why I love comics. Sometimes I'll sit and read comics and, like, I'm just, like, reading, going through the motions, and I'm just like, "Da da 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 da, okay, cool, next, da da da," and I'm just kind of going through it, and sometimes the story's not the best or it's all over the place, and this was just like, yeah, this just reminds me of why I'm here doing this,
Uh,
why I go to the comic
why
book
do you
store
buy
every
these
week,
things?
why I buy these things, why do I spend $6 on a comic, it's like because of this, just that art and that. I mean, when the Batman pulled his ears off and turned them into knives and stabbed that dude, I was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
This is just it's just awesome. It was just such a fun read, a new story. We'll talk about some of the differences here now, but It's just yeah, it was just great.
Yeah.
The violence, the grittiness, the groundedness, just
Mhm.
something fresh, just feeling fresh, you know? I mean, I read the regular Batman run, I think that, what Tinian's still doing,
No,
or
Chip
Zdarsky,
Chip Zdarsky, yeah.
which I enjoy, but that's had a long,
Yeah.
long story that they've kind of been
Um,
building that off of Tom King's, and you're still doing a bunch, so seeing something that's just fresh
yes.
is refreshing, I guess.
Fresh and refreshing, yeah, it is. We agree.
So now some of the major differences is obviously Alfred Pennyworth
Mhm.
is one alive, which he's dead in the current
Right.
universe. He's alive, but he's also he's kind of dabbled with of being like a secret covert agent. But this one, he's a full on like espionage guy who's been sent to Gotham to look at these party animals and just basically like
Investigate.
investigate and figure out who they are, what their deal is in Gotham, and not engage. But they said there is some other character that's in the
There's a
shadows, and you can engage with him.
there's another player
There it
in the
is.
there's another player on the board right now.
Yeah.
And
God, it's great.
if you come across him, feel free to engage him, but
Yeah.
everything else just whatever. The big thing, like what you just said, is Alfred Pennyworth, who narrates this book.
Which is was an awesome, just an
Yeah, and
awesome way to have him narrating this book.
yeah, he 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 comes in as a guy who you can tell he's been to Gotham before, whether it's his home or not, but he's been all over the world as this like covert secret agent, kind of a fixer guy. Now he's whatever company he works for in the shadows, which they haven't expanded on, has sent him back to Gotham to investigate this gang who just kills people indiscriminately and has raised Gotham's crime rate 700% by themselves.
Yeah.
And he's in here to kind of collect information on these guys who there's a scene in the book with them and their leader who appears to be the Black Mask, I think.
Yeah, some
Um,
variant of him.
yeah, some variant of the Black Mask, but and Batman is starting off. It's kind of a young Batman, like he's 24 years old. But the biggest difference is like Alfred's around, but he doesn't know Batman. He doesn't know Bruce. He is kind of just discovering him along with us as readers. So like they don't have the connection that we're used to. He's not Bruce's butler. He doesn't belong to the Wayne family. He's just his own
Yeah.
separate entity. So
He
that's
stayed in
a
that,
huge difference.
there was always those stories of Alfred being like MI6 and a
Right.
secret agent and doing some of that stuff and having those connections and being able to, they've told stories where he works and trains with Bruce and does a bunch of stuff. And this one is kind of almost like a universe in which he stayed that and didn't kind of branch off and become the butler of the Waynes and doing that. But there's a real big reason for that is because there are no Waynes.
Uh-huh.
In this one, Bruce Wayne, there's no mansion, there's no billions. He's not a billionaire. He's not a playboy. He's just Bruce Wayne, the
Yeah.
father, the son of a teacher. And so he does not have like the resources of the Batman that we're used to. He's not pulling out bat credit cards.
And yeah, his but I mean, yes, absolutely. They do allude to that his father is dead
Hmm.
in this, but spoiler alert. Did we say that
We
at
said
all?
spoilers a few times in the
Okay.
beginning.
The biggest, I guess, difference is, hey guys, Martha is alive
Hmm.
in this one. She,
Martha,
yeah.
tell Martha I'm sorry.
Why did you say that name? Uh, um, yeah, Martha's gonna be alive in this book and maybe exploited as a weakness to him, like because Batman has never had weakness his parents being alive as a thing, but they're gonna explore that a little bit in this book. So that's cool. But yeah, like you said, he's not a playboy. Uh, but Alfred, being as smart as did gather that he's a
I mean, he
smart
figured out who
guy
he
who
was.
yeah, he figured out who he was. But Bruce Wayne is, like we said, 24 years old, and he's kind of just been building this, um, I don't know, this Batman persona and studying and doing things on the side, and like he has his whole setup because he studied engineering and he works with people building around Gotham, so he knows all the secrets and all the things he can do, and he sets up his Batman headquarters at like the top of these buildings that he helped build as an engineer because he knows nobody's up there, and that's where he can like set up his shop as Batman. It's just like all very interesting takes on how this character could get to being Batman without
Mhm.
the millions and billions of dollars. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just I don't know, very very cool.
It was no, it was very creative, and I think it works, at least for an
Uh-huh.
initial. We'll see how it goes as we continue on this journey with this Batman, of
Uh-huh.
how realistic it seems to be, I mean, obviously, Batman does I mean, we there was always that joke of Batman's superpower being that he's rich. Um,
Yeah.
so we'll see. We'll see, if they fall into that, but it definitely worked for this first issue. One of the things that I just loved about this book was that, and then obviously it was kind of like the big scene in this book because it was really Batman's first scene, but when he's like whooping on the party animals on the stairs of City Hall, and just I love the way that Alfred is just, like, narrating this, realizing that he's not killing anybody. He's just, like, just missing arteries, just doing that, but then it turned around at the end, when they you kinda get to that next scene. I just really wanna talk about when he shot Alfred in the face with a shotgun.
Yeah. When he confronted him, he stole Alfred's shotgun and then he pulled it on him when Alfred finally found him. And
Mhm.
Alfred's like, "Come on, kid. We know you're not gonna do it. We both know you're not a killer." And then it was just like I was like, "Oh shit." But then it turns out like he modified the shotgun and just made it into like a non-lethal
Mhm.
way to shoot somebody. But
I
yeah,
loved
that
that.
was
I loved that. I loved
yeah.
that. I loved that he made it a non-lethal shotgun, and he was comfortable enough to shoot this dude in the face.
Right. Yeah. That
He
was
was like, "I'm
cool.
not worried about it. I
Yeah.
trust my work. I could
Yeah.
shoot you in the face with this shotgun, and you're gonna be okay."
And then throw it back down at his feet, basically like saying, "Here, keep it." You
Yeah,
know
I
what I
don't
mean?
want
Like,
this.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was definitely cool. But yeah, him narrating that whole um, scene of watching Bruce Batman like decapacitate all these people and really brutalize them, but not kill them. Him being like, "There's so much blood, but he's missing arteries."
Mhm.
Purposely, and Alfred's like, we have an idealist. Like he's not a killer. But then, he's gonna cut off a guy's hand with his giant bat axe, which
Dude,
is badass.
yeah, yeah, he pulled out that little thing and said, "Wonk," had a
Yeah,
fucking giant bad axe. Yeah, that was
yeah.
awesome. I forgot about
Uh,
that.
that was cool. My
Um,
favorite little detail I noticed in this book at some point in the middle when like Bruce is training and he's punching this boxing bag, and then all of a sudden comes out like Waylon, who I can't think of his last name, but he's basically Croc. Um, and saying like, "Hey, you're gonna miss poker tonight. Eddie's gonna be there, and Selena might come, and Oz is gonna
Oz,
be
yeah,
there," and basically naming all these classic Batman villains as being like they're kind of
friends.
alluding to that they're friends or family because they show a picture of all them as kids,
Mhm.
and I'm like, "Oh my god, are they gonna do this thing where like Bruce knows all these people who we know as readers are these supervillains, but they're like some kind of adoptive family. Maybe they were part of the same orphanage and they're all just like childhood buddies. And somehow he becomes Batman, and maybe somewhere in this book they're going to become who they're going to become.
Yeah,
It's just like opens the door to so many cool things they could do
yeah,
with that.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
that was awesome.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that was super exciting. Some of the other differences we had is obviously, as you said, Martha's still alive, and she
uh
seems to be involved in the city because she was at the city council meeting talking about the party animals just murdering people.
yeah. She
Um,
looks like part of the press or something.
yeah, looks like
Yeah,
part of the press. They didn't really go too much into details with that because they were kind of almost keeping her as a secret until the end of this book.
hmm
That she was still alive, because we have the assumption that his parents are dead because that's always how Batman's origin works out.
yeah,
But we also had, Jim Gordon as the mayor,
yes.
so I thought that was just a kind of a new role for him. I don't know if he's been the mayor before, but
Possibly.
possibly he's kind of jumped around in positions and stuff. We did see that there is a Barbara Gordon that
Mhm.
is there. They did kind of show her, which was kinda cool. Any other changes, like, jumped out to you?
Uh, the biggest one is probably the epilogue at the end of this. showing the last couple pages are alluding to there's a Joker in this universe. Of course, if you're gonna have a Batman, you're gonna have a Joker. But just the way they were talking about him, that he's like some influential, rich.
Like tech billion. He reminded me the concept reminded me. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Was like a Jesse Eisenberg Lex Luthor,
Sure.
but the Joker.
Yeah. So basically, you're taking Batman and you're making him the one who doesn't have all this influence and money,
Mm,
and Joker, who was always just like a piece of trash, whatever, whatever. But he's the rich
yeah,
guy with all the resources and all the money, and it's
yeah.
like, oh my god, how are they gonna play this one out?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's gonna be really cool
Yeah,
to
I'm in. I'm in
yeah
for as
yeah
long as at least Snyder's on it and seeing
yeah.
where this goes. But yeah, I'm absolutely in on this one. I'm excited.
Well, see what you did there.
I'm all in. I didn't
I'm
even.
absolutely all
I
in.
you did both of them. Absolutely all in on Absolute Batman, and
Sure.
yeah, this was a great book. This was a great book. If you haven't, they're getting ready. I said November 22nd is when the third printing is coming out for this book. You can obviously get it digital if you like Batman comics. If you haven't read this one, if you're interested in just starting over, you haven't read comics for a while, this is a great, as we said earlier, jumping in point. But it's just a cool version of Batman that I'm excited to see where they go with it.
Yep. Agreed.
So let's jump into Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman,
Mhm.
Absolute Wonder Woman came out the next week or somewhere in there. Read this book. This one is written by Kelly Thompson with art by Hayden Sherman. Not Kelly Thompson is a name that's familiar, so I'm sure I'm familiar with their
Mhm.
work. But
Yeah, she's most known for
this is where I need you. You're good at this stuff.
no, yeah, yeah. She did like Squirrel Girl, a lot of people liked for
Yeah, yeah,
Marvel. She writes an Image book I'm reading right now, Black Cloak. I think she's done a couple other ones. She might have written Captain Marvel for a little
mhm,
while, but she's a well-known, sought after, good author. So
yeah,
this is a cool get by DC.
yeah. This was a cool book too. I really enjoyed this.
Mhm.
Let me get you a basic synopsis for what this book was about. Once again, spoilers for Absolute Wonder Woman, but the basic concept of this series is that baby Diana was stripped from the Amazons by Zeus and given to Circe to raise in hell. Circe having been banished to hell herself years earlier. With Apollo banning Circe from using the word Amazon, Circe, of course, isn't interested and plans on allowing the baby to die as well. It is a baby in hell. It shouldn't be long for the world, but is shocked when baby Diana not only is strong enough to fight off the demons, but adorable enough that she begins to befriend the demons of hell.
And that's kind
So
of the backstory they mixed in
the
there with the
basic backstory. And obviously, we've all seen Wonder Woman.
mhm.
We know Wonder Woman's backstory. She was an Amazon. She was raised in that Amazon land, the Mysia.
Yeah, it's hard to pronounce. We
Yes,
all
it's
know
hard to
what it
pronounce, and I wasn't prepared to say it and didn't write it down. So,
is. Right.
um,
Yeah,
I know it starts with a T, but
yeah,
Thermacia.
yeah.
But she's with the Amazons, and this one right here started off right in the beginning that this is not she's not from there. She was the Amazons were all destroyed by
Uh-huh,
Zeus, and they took the baby and sent her to hell.
uh-huh.
And so this is a Diana, a Wonder Woman that was basically raised and trained and learned in hell, and
In
not
different ways, right.
a completely different way, a completely different thing. But also on top of this, and like I said, I've been reading Tom King's Wonder Woman, which is a little bit more grounded. I felt like, at least as far as I am behind in it. So I maybe it got wild, and I don't know. But this one clearly from this first issue of Absolute Wonder Woman is like demons and like
Yes.
it's got a little bit of darker edge to it. It's Wonder Woman, but it's definitely has a little bit more darkness to it than usually you kind of account for Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It kinda takes everything you know about Wonder Woman and just adds some things onto it. Like, not only is she an Amazon, there it is, and there's the cover. Not only is she, like, an Amazonian princess with all those strengths and everything, but she's also coming equipped with, the skills that she picked up in hell and using demons as her allies and just adding a bunch of stuff to her power set. Yeah, I I really enjoyed this book. I think it was pretty good. I liked how it kept bouncing back and forth between her learning her origin in issue 1, which is important to do in a first issue,
Of
but
course,
then also jumping you back to like present day and what she's doing and whipping ass and presenting herself as this warrior to this huge
protector.
threat, protector. Right, and it's only gonna grow from there. I'm a fan of Kelly Thompson, like I kind of alluded to. She's writing one of the Image books I really like right now, and she's written those other things, so I think she's a good choice here. The art was, you know, good to me. I thought
Yeah,
it
no,
was
I
all
love the art. I
I
thought
thought it
it
was
was
all
perfect for it
yeah.
was perfect for the theme of being that, like, Greek god
Mhm.
hell thing.
Yeah.
It was just perfect art.
Mhm. Yeah, very fitting for the story they're trying to tell, like kind of a dark it's a dark Wonder Woman
Yeah,
story. You know what I
basically.
mean? Is what it seems like. Uh So there's definitely enough there to keep me interested and keep me reading and see where they're gonna go. Um, yeah, man, I'm just like I was happy to read it. I'm not a huge Wonder Woman guy. I have read some. I'm with you. I'm reading the Tom King, but I'm way behind. But just like I haven't been a Wonder Woman reader over the years, but you know, maybe that's changing. Maybe I'm gonna be more into Wonder Woman stuff. I got a Wonder Woman hardcover back here somewhere called like Dead Earth, which is why is his name escaping me right now? But the dude we like, oh Daniel Warren Johnson, like written and drawn, like
Oh, really?
yeah, and like I've meant to read that for so long. I have it sitting there. But yeah,
I lo
Wonder Woman stuff is definitely of interest to me, so I'm in on
Dude,
this book.
that looks awesome.
Yeah. You
Yeah, I'm gonna
checking it
buy
out
that
right now?
book. Yeah, I'm looking
Yeah.
at that. I love Daniel Warren Johnson and
Who
his
doesn't?
yeah,
Yeah.
he's just especially when he gets to be gritty like that.
Mhm.
That even just looking through a couple pictures like that reminds me of Extremity, which I loved that book.
Mhm.
Um, I need to catch up on his Transformers, but every other book that I've read from him has been fully I mean, is
Oh, yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
He's like gold. So yeah, the fact that he did a Wonder Woman here, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
buy that book.
Yeah. And it's all collected in, like, one hardcover, so you don't gotta go search for a bunch of stuff. Mm.
Oh yeah, totally.
Mhm.
Christmas.
Yeah, man, but I'm totally in on Absolute Wonder Woman. I think it was a good start. Like I kind of said, Batman was my favorite one, but this one was pretty damn good intro. A good that's
It
kind
was
of what you want out of issue one.
100%. It was familiar, but it still kept the Greek mythology. It still
Mhm.
kept that, but it completely changed her origin and
Mhm.
being able to fully like I don't necessarily know if there's backstory about Cersei being in hell and what that is, but her raising Diana and doing all of those things, it just works. And I'm excited to see what it looks like when we're our present a little bit more present day and what this Diana looks like and what we do. Obviously, this was kind of a backstory origin where we're kind of in hell for a large chunk of this story. Like you said, they went back and forth, but in the present day, she's just fighting a demon, and then we go back. So all of the story is in the past. There's really not a
Mhm.
lot of story as to what's happening in present day yet. So I'm very excited to actually see what we're doing. But no, I'm 100% in. I mean, across the board, the absolute universe I'm in. I'm this is a glowing recommendation of what we're talking about, regardless of what I say about Superman here in a minute.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but no, this was a great book. Like I said, everything just clicked. It clicked
Yes.
really well, and yeah, I'm surprised that I'm sitting here now going, I'm gonna have two Wonder Woman series that I'm gonna be actively subscribed and going. Now, granted,
Who
the
would have
Tom
thought?
King one I thought was gonna end at 12,
Yeah.
so I've been waiting for
Yeah.
that one to end, and it's not ending, and I think he just keep going with it. So now I'm like, okay, now this became an ongoing one that I wasn't expecting, but okay,
Let's do it.
let's do it. Let's do it. I'm here for Wonder Woman outside of '84, so
Yeah.
we're cool with that. And then wrapping up the absolute universe so far
Uh-huh.
is Superman, written by Jason Aaron and Rafa Sandoval. Absolute Superman #1 is written by those two people I just said and presents a brand new revamped take on the Man of Steel that brings him, in some sense, back to his origin as a man of the people fighting for the workers against the big corporations. So we had Absolute Superman. If you're on YouTube, you can see my variant cover that I
Mhm.
got. You can also see the real cover here. We had a large Don and I had a large conversation today about variant covers.
Variant variant cover conversation.
Yeah,
Are
yeah, yeah.
what
Random. You
are
want to
they?
know what dudes text about? We're texting about variant covers.
Right. Right.
That's what we're texting about. Why is he always on the phone? Who's he texting? Oh, he's texting his friend about variant covers. Yes.
Back and forth for 30 minutes about variant covers and why they're stupid.
Yeah. Kind of,
Uh,
kind of. But my comic book store, the people who shop there love variant covers, and the
sure.
people who work there love variant covers. So
That's okay.
they are very much like, which cover do you want, bro? And I'm just like, I don't really give a shit.
The
Even when I
standard?
even when I was putting in my like order for uh Absolute Batman, the third printing, they're like, it's just gonna be the standard cover. Is that cool? I'm like, yeah, I don't give a shit,
Yeah,
man.
that's what I want.
That's
Like,
what I want. I really
yeah.
want the standard. I was very excited that this variant cover still had the standard underneath it, just
Yeah.
because I wanted to have all 3 in standard. You sent that picture to me today about, like, showing the Trinity with the standard covers, and I was like, "I don't know, I like
Yeah.
standard covers better." And
They just all go together, right?
they go together, and then just I don't know, that's the cover of the book.
Right.
And it then when I'm, like, flipping through, sometimes, like, with variants, I don't even know what issue it is. Like, I'm like, "What am I
Mhm.
looking at?"
Right.
Sometimes they could be cool, I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
but
Alright, yeah, yeah.
I don't go out of my way. Anyway, Superman. I said
Mhm.
what we said about it. This one, this I'm gonna preface this by saying I did enjoy this book. It was my least favorite of the 3, but I also feel like they really didn't do much yet. Like,
Mhm.
there's still a lot of questions as to what this Superman is and what they're doing. Obviously, the differences here was we kind of jumped to they were going back and forth once again between past and present, and we were on Krypton, and
Mhm.
we were learning about the Kryptonian just like caste system. So it
Mhm.
was like based on where you were. If you were science, you were all the way at the top. If you were labor, you were all the way at the bottom. And Superman's family, including his parents, instead of being part of the science and part of the upper echelon of the society, they are all the way down in the bottom,
Which is a
working in the
big difference
mines.
because which is a big difference because Jor-El always was, like, high society, like, not the ruler, but, like, in that kinda, like,
He was like Secretary of
royalty.
State. He was like
Exactly.
3 steps down.
Correct, correct, so that's a
Uh,
difference.
Somewhere in there. That's where I always put it in my head of
Mhm.
where Jor-El was. But yes, but they were all the way down in the bottom now. He still had the same ideals of saying, "Hey, Krypton is resourcing. We're gonna destroy this planet just like every other version of Superman," but he doesn't have a place of power to make those announcements. So that was kind of what we were talking about here. We didn't really get into how Superman made his way to Earth in this story, so I'm assuming we're gonna continue to get flashbacks.
Mhm.
But that was my only thing with this one is I enjoyed what we got in this story, but there's just still a lot of question marks as to what we're getting here for me.
Mhm.
So I'm here for it. I'm not abandoning ship yet, but I do and once again this is a whole other conversation, but I do struggle with Superman books for some reason. So I'm gonna try to hang in there where I could.
Yeah. Yeah, the shock of no one who listens to our podcast, we agree on something. Oh my
There's a
god.
reason we've been friends for 35 years.
I know. Yeah, because we have similar tastes.
Mm,
This this one probably was the weakest of the 3 to me. Not saying it was bad, but just
right.
if I'm looking at all 3, it's probably the weakest,
Not that
and
there's anything wrong with that.
right now, there's nothing wrong with it. Out of the 3, this one might have been the weakest start to me. Still readable, still good, still a, something I was, engrossed in throughout,
Oh
but
yeah.
just it didn't hit me as much as Batman and Wonder Woman did, but that's okay. Um, I like Jason Aaron,
Mhm.
who wrote this. Been a long time Marvel guy. I mean, he has a couple Image things throughout the years, but um, mostly known by me for like he had a long run on the Avengers. He's the guy who brought in like Jane Foster Thor. He wrote Thor for so many years. Like he's the one who kind of created the Jane Foster Thor character.
Nice.
Um, yeah, but this book, good. I like the art. Rafa Sandoval's art kind of fit
Yeah.
with it.
Oh, it did.
Um, yeah,
They did
but
outstanding with pairing the artists and the
Ugh.
writers for
They
this
did.
series.
Out of the 3, this one to me is the most dialogue heavy, reader heavy. When you're turning the pages, there's a lot of word bubbles, which you and I have talked about before. Like, sometimes that gets me where it's like it feels like a chore a little bit to read when there's so many words. Like, I'm a picture guy. I like the pictures. I like the pictures and limited words. Uh, no, but which is fine, but just, like, be ready for that when you're reading this book. And, like,
Yeah, it's got Tom King levels of, text.
yeah, yeah. The other 2 books to me felt like it had a intro, middle, kinda like its own, um, contained issue number 1 where you look at a first issue of something, you're like, "Wow, I'm totally in." And like you said, there's just something about this book where there's just not enough information was given to me and too much information was given to me at the same time.
Yeah,
You know what I
perfect.
mean?
Yep.
Um, so, like, I gotta reckon with that, but I liked it enough where I see where they're going. They're kinda like we've been discussing the differences, like, Superman, is a different kind of Superman. He's more, like, grassroots for the people, walking around talking to people with his hood up. There's no Clark Kent. You know what I mean? Like he does so far he doesn't have a alternate identity that we know of. Like Lois Lane works for the military. He comes from lower class on Krypton instead of higher class. And like a huge difference I noticed too, like which I want to learn more about is the suit. Something with the suit is like it's Iron Man
Yeah.
almost. Like the suit is talking to him
Yeah, he's
and
having
is
conversation with this suit, and I'm just like, "Wait, what are we doing here?"
yeah, we gotta definitely learn more about this suit. It's like Tony Stark armor Jarvis level of it's kind of like his co-pilot a little
Yeah.
bit, the suit.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to learn more about that, which is cool. So I'm
Yeah.
totally in here for like the unique differences they're going for, which is this whole ultimate line or absolute line is like these differences which just kind of switch things up. So we'll see.
This one set up more like a mystery
Hmm.
of what this origin is. Like, the other ones kind of laid out what the origins of these characters were, what the
Right.
new origins of these characters are, and what kind of world this is, and what we can expect. So we're kind of excited for what we're gonna see. This one is more of a mystery. Like, they
Hmm.
didn't fully give you everything. Like, you don't really know how he got to Earth. You don't really know what he's actually doing. You don't know anything about his suit. You don't know what happened to Krypton. There's still a lot of questions to be answered, which is, I think, why it just kind of was like, okay, I'm here for it, and I'm definitely interested in what they're gonna do, but I don't
Hmm.
know what it is yet, so it's hard for me to be like, "Oh shit, I'm
Right.
here," like,
Right. Right.
like
Right.
we were just talking about with the other 2, or we're just like, "We are in." This one's just that little bit just reserved just because I don't exactly know what they're going for yet. I
Yes.
enjoyed this book, but it's
Mhm.
still just kind of like, "What are we doing here? What kind of Superman story are you actually gonna tell?"
Yeah, because you can't tell yet.
Yeah, you can't tell. They just kind of
Yeah.
it's a very contained story. Once again, past and present, kind of going
Yeah.
back and forth between the 2, but you don't really get a lot of information in both. So, which is crazy because as you said, it's the most wordiest of these
Yes.
books,
Yeah.
but you almost feel like you get the least amount of information.
Yeah.
A lot of setup. A lot of
This might
setup is what
this
we're
might
doing.
be out of the 3, this might be the slow burn one
Yeah.
where you're gonna have to kinda hang in there
And
for a minute.
And I'm kind of okay with that being the Superman one.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, I struggle with Superman books. The only one that I've stuck with for a while was the most recent one with, Tom Taylor.
Mhm.
The his year that he did, what was it called? Kal-El?
Where it was his son, John.
Yeah, yeah, with the
Yeah.
John Kent, which wasn't even
Yeah.
fucking Superman, so I'm
Right.
not even there. The John Kent book, I
Yeah.
really enjoyed the Tom Taylor one for that, and that was the longest I ever stuck with Superman comics, which is crazy because I love Superman.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, but I think that just comes from movies, I guess. I don't really know, but I have a thing where I'm just obsessed with Superman, but I don't really read his books as much as I feel like I should.
Mhm.
So I'm excited to try to have one to read here, but I just kind of ready for more information.
Yeah, so give me issue 2, basically, is what we're saying here, like,
Basically, I'm here for
hook
it.
me. Yeah,
I'm
hook
here
me
for it. I'm gonna
Mhm.
show you right now my favorite part. I'm
Yes.
wondering if you thought the same thing.
This is for the YouTube audience
This is
here.
for the YouTube audience. We could talk about it and you could probably picture it, but if you want to
Yeah.
see it, hit us up on YouTube, Raised A Geek, and you can see it. But I want to know if you thought the same thing when you were reading this book. But
Let's
does
see.
this not remind you of Home Alone 2?
Oh, right. Yeah, like,
That looks like Marv getting electrocuted,
yeah.
and I
He
died laughing. I
when he was
died
bas
laughing at
when he was
Marv
looking
from Home Alone getting electrocuted by Kevin McAllister,
yeah,
and that's in Superman, Absolute Superman. So
yeah, the big hair and, like, the
big
outline of the
hair.
big
It just looked like when he was getting electrocuted, he's like, "Ooh," and he had this
which
hair and he turned into a skeleton.
that movie's like I'm not saying that movie's based in reality, but it kind of is, but then all of a sudden you just see a man's skeleton through his body, like, when did this become Bugs Bunny cartoon?
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
But I saw that picture when
Yeah,
Clark looked through, used his X-ray vision, but
yeah.
because of the hair and the skeleton, that was the first thing that I thought about was Home Alone 2, and it made me laugh so hard, and I was like, "I wonder if Don thought the same thing." So did you think the same thing or no?
I didn't think that at then, but now I do.
Yeah,
Now that
now you can't unsee it.
now when I go reread this book, because 'cause I'll probably reread it, just to, like, make sure everything I thought was true, but now I'm gonna think it.
Yeah, well, you're welcome.
There you go, thank
You're
you.
welcome. But obviously, I mean, Absolute Universe, we're in.
Yeah,
You're gonna stick with all 3 for right now?
I am. They're all added, and I'm gonna see where they all kinda go. Uh, yeah, I mean, I just like feeling like I'm being part of something that's just kicking off where I don't have to worry about, like, years of backstory that I
Right.
don't know and not having a good jumping on point. These are all 3 very accessible jumping on points for people
Mhm.
who want to just read a new take on these characters. So yeah, Absolute Universe, I'm kind of in. There's a Flash book coming that Jeff Lemire's writing. I think I told you that. So
No?
I think I
What?
did. Yeah,
Maybe you
Absolute.
did, but right now, that was new information that I got.
Yeah,
An Absolute Flash written by
Absolute
Jeff
Flash.
Lemire.
Absolute Flash. Jeff Lemire is one of the books.
Why doesn't this world want me to keep my money?
They want to take it from you.
They wanna take all of my money, and they're
Yeah,
gonna get it for that. That's fucking awesome. That was gonna be my question I was gonna ask you was, who else do you wanna see in this Absolute Universe? Who do you wanna I mean, obviously, you're gonna have to really they're gonna have to go through pretty much the whole Justice League, right?
I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, I already know about Absolute Flash, but like Absolute Green Lantern wouldn't surprise me. Absolute Cyborg or who anybody you kind of want to put in there.
Martian Manhunter?
Or- I mean, hey, why not? I mean, they'll probably do some extensions of Gotham because of course Gotham sells. Um, I saw somebody ask Snyder on like Twitter or one of those places if there's going to be a Robin in this world, and he was like, yes, there will be a Robin in this world." And uh, so yeah, I mean, I'm definitely in it to see where they're gonna go, see how far I can take it. Of course, there's gonna be ups and downs, not all of them. You never have something that's like winners across the board, because if you did, I mean, I haven't seen it yet. So, but I'm willing to try pretty
I'm sure
much.
Absolute Aquaman probably won't be good.
Aquaman, I forgot about him. I always forget about Aquaman. He doesn't exist in my
I'm not gonna lie, New 52 Aquaman was pretty badass.
I've heard people say that. That was like a Jeff Johns. I think
Yeah,
Jeff
I read
Johns
that one for a bit when New
yeah.
52 came out, and I was getting into that, getting back into comics with New 52, and, I was on that one for a while, and that one was that I enjoyed that one as long as I lasted on it. I don't remember why I kind of bailed out of a lot of things that with the New 52, but I was in for a lot at the beginning.
I don't think I've ever bought an Aquaman comic. So if an absolute Aquaman comes out, maybe I'll buy it. Maybe it'll be my first Aquaman comic I ever read.
I think I would need to know what their plan is.
Yeah.
Like, I
Mhm.
maybe it depends on who's writing it, who's drawing it, and then, like, what the overall, like, twist is. Like,
Yeah.
what do you do differently with Aquaman?
Mhm.
Like, he has a very specific origin,
Sure.
and how do you change out the Man of the Sea?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do differently to get me to read your book? But yeah, Jeff Lemire, I mean, I have a running subscription just for him.
Anything that
Anything
his
Jeff
name is on.
Lemire and Neil Gaiman do,
Yeah.
I get. Those are
Mhm.
the 2 authors that I have subscribed automatically for,
Yeah.
um, because they're both amazing writers, so
Mhm. Yeah.
for me.
I'll definitely read The Flash. That's another one I don't
Yeah.
really have a bunch of Flash books in my backlog, but a Jeff Lemire Flash, Absolute Flash by Jeff Lemire, I will sign me up. We'll be talking about it.
Yeah, 100%. I'm gonna go make sure that I'm subscribed to that. That's a no-brainer for me, but once again,
Mhm.
Jeff Lemire, I have a Jeff Lemire problem, so
Oh,
we've
yeah.
talked about Jeff Lemire, we've done episodes. If you go
Mhm.
back through, we've had Jeff Lemire episodes before, so I think he even shared one of our tweets. Didn't he do that back in the day when we were talking about Sweet Tooth or something? I
Probably,
feel
yeah.
like we had, like, a retweet from Jeff Lemire, and we, like, freaked out.
Jeff Lemire!
"Jeff Lemire, he retweeted us."
Sometimes I think about, like, I wanna go back and read, uh, New 52 Swamp Thing and Animal Man, which was Scott Snyder writing Swamp
Mhm.
Thing and Jeff Lemire writing Animal Man, and they were part of the same they were connected,
Yeah.
like and then they had that crossover.
Yep.
It's
I have
like
all of those books.
yeah, I was like, I wanna go back and read those, I think,
What
one day.
was what was funny was with New 52, and now we're just drunk talking, but New 52,
Mhm,
those are my 2 favorite
mhm.
books out of the New 52 because I didn't get into Batman with New 52, so Scott Snyder probably woulda got me, but he didn't. But Swamp Thing and Animal Man ended up being my 2 favorite, and I had no idea who wrote either one. It wasn't until later that I realized I was reading Jeff Lemire and Scott Snyder, and then I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, that makes sense as to why I enjoyed those books as much as I did."
yeah, yeah.
But
It
yes,
was
I've almost pulled those. I have my New 52 box, and
mhm,
I pulled those a couple times of, like, I would just wanna read those again now knowing who writes them,
and look at
and
it from a different perspective, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But I need to catch up on it's that weird battle as we've talked about many
Yeah,
times here
yeah,
before.
sure,
But yeah, absolute universe. We are thumbs up. We are here for it. We want to know what you think about the absolute universe. We're probably going to talk about it again because I feel like we're going to keep reading it, and I'd love to talk about more comics. If you
sure.
want to hear about more comics here on Raised a Geek, you know how to let us know. You hit us up at Raised a Geek on social media, raisedageek at gmail.com, Raised a Geek at YouTube, and you can see our smiling faces. But do you have any final thoughts in the absolute universe before we do a complete jump to the MCU here and wrap up this episode of Raised a Geek?
No, we kinda absolutely covered all our bases.
That we did. That we did. So hit us up on social. Let us know what you think about Absolute. We'll be throwing some takes out there as these issues come out in the future, or we'll move to Blue Sky. I don't know. We'll see how long we stay on Twitter. We'll let you guys know if we bounce off Twitter.
To be determined.
To be determined. The world is a
Changing.
flat circle, and we'll figure out what we're doing.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, as promised, I do want to talk a little bit about the MCU just for a few minutes. So if you're not interested, you guys have a good night. And
Who's not interested?
who's not interested? If you made it this far in an absolute universe conversation, you care about the MCU. So we did get the third trailer for Captain America 4, that which we both watched. There is also out there a D23 extended look. Basically, it's a character trailer breakdown of the Thunderbolts movie, which we're going to kind of talk about. But I know Don didn't watch that yet, so can't really talk about what's in that. But there's really nothing new in it outside of just character breakdowns from the first trailer. But Captain America for New Brave New World is, I believe, what it's called. They
Mhm,
released a badass trailer
mhm.
for this movie. Like, I don't know if this movie's gonna be good. I don't know if Anthony Mackie can carry this movie.
Nope.
I love Anthony Mackie. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
say that I don't.
Shout out Twisted Metal.
Twisted Metal was badass. I'm pumped for Twisted Metal season 2.
Yeah.
Man, that was a good show. That
That was
shouldn't
a
have
good
been as good
show.
as it was. Um, so I'm not. This is nothing against Anthony Mackie as all. I was 100% pumped for Cap or Falcon Winter Soldier. The idea of him being Captain America is perfect.
Mhm.
So I'm not saying that that's not there. I have no idea what this movie's gonna be.
Uh-huh.
But the trailer was badass. It just had
Uh-huh.
that Captain America feel, and I feel like the Captain America movies are always the better of the MCU movies. When you look back, like, pre-Endgame,
Mhm.
Captain America movies always stood out as just being grounded, being espionage, feeling like they were almost in, like, a moment in time type movies. They felt like they were,
Mhm.
like, classic spy movies. And this one, at least the trailer, has that vibe of going back to that and having that grounded political kind of story, thriller story versus a full on like the world's gonna end because giant gods are fighting in this sky.
Mhm.
Do you agree?
No, yeah, I do, and, I think we've said here a few times, we're both fans of the espionage side of the MCU when they do this. Winter Soldier is still top 5, I think for me, MCU.
Probably.
Civil War is good too. That one just gets a little, more Avengery, but it's still got its, good espionage to it.
First half.
Yeah, the thing that kind of gives me pause with this a little bit is, you know what? This is the same exact thing I was saying before Secret Invasion came out. And why I was so excited about Secret Invasion was, oh yeah, we're back to the espionage, we're back to Nick Fury, we're back to whatever. And that show just ended up being a dumpster fire,
Dude,
piece of trash, one of the worst things I've ever ever seen the MCU do. And that was like disguised as an espionage show. So like my mind is like, I hope you guys haven't forgotten how. Was it just the Russo brothers knew how to do it? Or you don't know how to do it now, you know what I mean?
I forgot Secret Invasion was a thing.
Oh, it
I
was.
blocked it out. And even when you said it right now, I had to like unlock doors in my brain
You know,
to remember what you were talking about. But
it was
yes, you are 100% right on that.
right. So can this be the project that redeems and brings it back to its glory days of espionage? We'll have to see, but the trailer looked good. I mean, I like Anthony Mackie too. Uh and just some of the like little mini spoilers they give you. He's got a cool new outfit and like a helmet he wears to fly around, and like he's got his own Falcon now who's going to assist him. So it looks like they're going to be able to do some cool stuff with this. The biggest thing is then too, like Harrison Ford, Red Hulk. Um,
Are you mad? I mean, I don't know. Is it weird that they're giving away so much of that in the trailer? I
I
mean, I
think they're
know we all know, but I feel bad for the people who don't know.
I think they want to guarantee that people are going to go see that movie.
I'm
And if
sure.
if it was a thing that wasn't revealed until the movie, I'm sure like word would get out, blah blah blah. But they want you to know, hey guys, there's a Hulk in this movie, and it's Harrison Ford, and come see it and make this a huge opening weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it will. They wanted the people who don't know what the Red Hulk is to be like, oh, what? Harrison Ford, a Hulk? I gotta go see it. Um,
It'll
so yeah,
work. It'll
a,
work.
a little bit upset that we've seen like basically everything about the Red Hulk now. Like there's no mystery left to it. Like there's no like the poster I saw too that came out at the same time is just Red Hulk's hand punching the shield with Sam behind it. So it's like they're like, guys, Red Hulk is in this movie. Come see it. Um,
Now we
but
don't know obviously know how or why
right,
or what
right.
they're exactly going for here. Clearly they're aiming for a story that's about mind control, controlling these super soldiers because they have Isaiah,
Mm-hmm.
I
Yes.
think it was his name, from Falcon and Winter Soldier,
Mm-hmm.
who seems like he basically is controlled to try to assassinate the president.
Mm-hmm.
Um uh Ross Harrison
Thaddeus
Ford.
Ross. Yeah.
So it seems like there's like some kind of, mind control, conspiracy, like I said, espionage stuff. I'm here for this movie, man. And I
Yeah.
don't
I'm definitely interested. I'm gonna see it
yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Go to theaters.
I think so. I think
Probably the
so.
next time I go to theaters.
Yeah. February makes sense. But they also definitely want you to know Giancarlo Stanton is in this movie. They show him plenty of times. Like, hey guys, you love him too. He's in this. He's Sidewinder from the Serpent Society or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, I hope it can live up to the legacy of Captain America movies because they are some of the best. Even the first one, the first Avenger, nothing wrong with that movie either. No Steve Rogers, but it's still Captain America. I like Sam as a character. I think it's a good progression. I liked where they were moving that character in the show.
Yep.
So
You
I'm
gonna
here
watch that
for.
show again?
Oh no, I won't. Rewatching a show, I don't do that anyway, unless
No,
it's
no.
like amazing. So, I mean, I might watch some clips to remind me what happened. Uh,
Yeah,
that'll also,
does Disney Plus still put up those, like, reminder
I think so.
episodes?
They usually do that, so I'm sure I'll probably click that. It'll also help with like Thunderbolts because U.S. Agent is in Thunderbolts, and he was all over that show. Um, but yeah, I mean, Marvel trailers always look good. You know what
They
I'm saying?
they do, but there's still, like, obviously, we've talked about years previously. This year, we only had Deadpool Wolverine, which is its own thing. I don't consider
Well,
that. I know they MCU did and Loki did and TVA did and did whatever they did and to tie it in, but it still was its own thing.
yep.
And if you watched Deadpool Wolverine, it was a love letter to Fox movies. So that really didn't have I don't know. I don't consider it an MCU yet until we see what they do with it. But so it's been a couple years, and obviously that we had some MCU movies that kind of came out, and you just were kind of like, yeah,
I've still never
whatever.
watched the Marvels.
I mean, it was fine.
I
I don't know. I
I
watched it on a plane, so
yeah,
you know, it was just like, well, I'm here. Let me
yeah,
just. They're gonna Southwest is gonna let me watch the Marvels for free. Why not?
yeah.
So I watched it on my phone. I don't know if that's
Right. Yeah. I
not
might just
necessarily the
well,
best viewing. I was entertained for the 2-hour flight, but
I'm sure I'll get to it someday, but just that's my point is,
yeah,
you know, my interest level over the past few years has been like, I skip projects now. I used to never do that. I used to see every movie. I used to watch every show. Didn't watch Agatha, skipped Marvels. Like, there's
I
just a bunch
struggle with
now.
I definitely struggle with the MCU shows at this
Yeah.
point. Really haven't. I don't even remember the last one I enjoyed. I enjoyed the first couple.
Mhm.
Outside of that, I feel like they just progressively I really didn't enjoy. I enjoyed moments of the like I said, the first few Hawkeye had some cool moments.
We liked Echo, I think, a little bit.
Echo was entertaining. I enjoyed
Yeah.
Echo for what it was, but I forgot it existed until you said it right now. Obviously, Secret Invasion you just talked about was meh. I didn't
Trash.
watch Agatha. You didn't watch Agatha.
Yeah.
Didn't watch. Barely watched Miss Marvel.
Mhm.
Didn't really watch. Felt like there was another one in there, but I'm blanking on what it is. But we're
Moon
going
Knight.
into 2025.
Mhm.
We're getting 3 movies in the MCU that we're aware of as of right now. Maybe there's a 4th one in November, but I don't know what it is off the top of my head, or I think when we were looking it up, we didn't come across any. But we got February, we got, this one, Captain America. May, we have
Um,
Thunderbolts, and July, we have Fantastic Four.
uh-huh.
You excited for that lineup?
So
That
we're
seem like 3 movies that you're just like, "Yeah, I'm going to see."
I
Like,
th
MCU, I'm here for it.
I think so. I think so. I think those 3 would qualify as me saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna go see these."
Mhm.
Um, Still have to look at the Thunderbolts thing that came out today, but
Yeah.
there's enough there with those characters and that, like, kinda ragtag team that I'm interested in. Fantastic Four is just Fantastic Four. I really wanna see what they're doing. I
I'm
know
I'll know more when I see a trailer of Fantastic Four.
we need
That
a trailer.
we need a
We
trailer.
Yeah.
With that one being in the '60s, and it's just there's so much to that. There's so many question marks with that, that I just really don't know what they're doing. But it is Fantastic Four, so I'm sure I'll be
Yeah.
there.
It's Fantastic Four, and I just feel like I'm gonna be the whole Robert Downey Jr. thing. Still, I
Oh
keep
yeah.
right, I keep forgetting about that. Like that throws a wrench in and just makes it weird. And I'm more intrigued and like morbidly curious as to what is actually their
Is he gonna be in that?
plan. Dude, I don't know. I know the original reporting was that Galactus was the villain of this movie, but will Doom have a
He
appearance in
has to
it?
have a cameo or at
I
least
think
a
he
post
would.
credits. I completely forgot that Robert Downey Jr. was Doom.
Yeah. Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom, guys. Remember that shit
I
from a few.
completely forgot that. My brain is literally like doing
Yeah.
flips right now going, "Wait, what's going
Right.
on?"
What are you guys doing? Are you fucking crazy? Was that real or just a publicity thing? No, it's real. So who knows what they're gonna do with that? But I think, yeah, those three projects I'll I'll participate in. I think. Um, Not saying it's gonna, you know, light the world on fire or change my opinion
Right.
or my, my
I hope they're good.
disenchantment. Yeah,
The potential's there for them to be good.
is it gonna change my disenchantment with the MCU over the past few projects? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But, I'm willing to give them a shot, and
Of
like this
course.
trailer was good. So yeah, I'm in.
No, I enjoyed this trailer. Yeah, I'm here for Valentine's Day, Cap 4, Brave New World, ready for that. Right after that it'll be Daredevil. Um, if for someone who skipped a lot of Disney Plus shows, that is one I won't skip.
No, absolutely not.
Because I know we've talked about multiple times on here, but out of all the Netflix shows, I watched all the Daredevil. I didn't watch all the everyone else, but I watched all of the Daredevil shows.
Yeah. Yeah. That one is a must watch.
It
See what
it
they're
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited for that one, and I hope it can deliver in the way in
Mhm.
which they want it to. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited for MCU in 2025.
Yep. Let's have
Really
a
kind of
bounce back. Let's have a bounce back MCU year, guys. Let's just forget about all the stuff that didn't work. The Kang era is behind us. Let's move on and hope that
I forgot about
uh
that too.
let's move on and hope that things,
Move on to Doom,
become what they want us to be. The Doom era is upon us. Let's do it.
and I think starting off with Cap is a good one.
Yeah,
I think
for
that's a
sure.
good one. So I'm excited to see. Obviously, as we've said multiple times throughout this episode, let us know what you think. And you know how to do that. Social media, Raise the Geek. You want us somewhere else on social media, let us know where you'd like us. But you let us know on
Mhm.
current social media at Raise the Geek, or you can shoot us an email at raisethegeek@gmail.com. And make sure you hit us up over on YouTube so you can see all the random crap that I hold up while we're trying to talk, have a conversation, and you're listening and you're going, "What is he showing?" You find out by
Mhm.
going over on YouTube and check us out over there. We're building quite the community over there. And Don doing his little Joker face. And if you're just listening to us, you don't know. So hit us up on all of those places. But we appreciate all of you for supporting this episode. Don, you have any final thoughts that you want to share with
Nah, man.
the people?
Just getting into some superhero stuff again. It's
Love it.
fun to do every now and then. It's one of our passions and first loves, and when it's good, it's good. So,
Absolutely.
I'm in for it. Let's celebrate some soups.
Love it. And we should be back next week with a villain
Oh,
because we
yes.
got the Penguin finale tomorrow night. So we're planning on giving that a watch and talking about that here next week on Raised a Geek. So make sure you are caught up on the Penguin because we are going to talk about it all. But until then, that's going to do it for us this week. So for Raised a Geek, I'm Chris.
And I'm done.
And thanks for checking out the show.
Where geek is all we speak.